Hello, I am Ines from ThorRatedCinematics.com, and today I'll be showing you how to fly through some clouds with your camera in Adobe After Effects. Of course, we will need a plugin called Particular, which isn't integrated with After Effects, but I really recommend buying it because it's a really powerful plugin and it can be used for a lot of other projects, not only for clouds. So I will show you a technique in Particular that you can use for multiple projects, not only for this cloud. So if you don't want to create these clouds, I still recommend watching the tutorial for learning a lot about Particular. Well, not a lot, but some things, and you will be able to use it for your own projects for different things. So let's get started. Maybe you want to see a preview of what we are going to create, and this is a preview. Okay, so I'm gonna click here. Okay, there we go. So really simple, just some fly through some clouds over here. And we can do this on a different way as well by using different images, real images, because this is a preset in Particular itself. But you can use real clouds that are keyed out, and you can import them into Particular and use those as a particle. But unfortunately, I don't have these clouds keyed out, so I will show you the technique on how you can do it, and I will show it within a different example. But you will get the idea, so no worries, and let's get started on this tutorial. So first of all, I'm going to create a new composition, 9020 on 1080, and we're going to call it Clouds Fly Through. Okay. Hit OK. And now what you want to do is right click, New, Solid, and you want to create a nice color for our background, so it's the sky, so we're going to call it Sky. And then right click again, hit New, Solid, and just use it white color this time so you can see the differences between the layers, and call it Particular Clouds. Okay. Particular. Okay. Hit OK. And then go to Effect, Trapcode Particular. If you don't know what is this, the trail link will be in the description, so if you want to use it and test it out, just click on the link and download it. So first of all, we are going to emitter, and here we're going to change the emitter type instead of point to box, and then we want to change the velocities to 0, all to 0, because we don't need them. And then just drag this timeline to the left, so you also already see over here that the particles are born, and that way we can use them immediately. So next what we want to do is go to Particle and change the life to the length of your comp. So in this case 15 seconds, so I'm gonna enter 15. You could also add 16 to be sure if you have any frames farther than 15, or if you're not sure and you want to make it longer later on, maybe change to 35, doesn't really matter. So next what you want to do is make the particles to the screen width and get it into Z as well. So go to the emitter size X and just change it over here. So also if you hold shift, this is going to move really fast, and maybe that's useful in some cases because sometimes you really have to drag a lot, and if you hold shift, that's going to help that. So that's also a nice tip to know. Also drag up the Y, I'm sorry, and then the Z, you want to change it to 20,000, something like that, something big. And if you change this to 20,000, you should use a position of Z as 10,000, so just the half of what you're entering right over here. As you can see, some little particles, not much, but we're gonna fix this because this doesn't look any far close to clouds. So just change the sphere over here in particles, so just open particle, and then over here particle type, instead of sphere we're gonna use this cloudlet, and this doesn't look anything near clouds either, but just change the size to, instead of 5, change it to let's say 180. And as you can see, again, nothing close to clouds, so just change the opacity to 15, and that will help. Maybe you want to make it a little bit wider, something like that, a little bit higher. Okay, there we go. 15, there we go, maybe 10. Okay, and I'm gonna use 200 instead of 180. So now we want to add a camera, new camera. I'm gonna use a 35mm, and I'm gonna name it camera, hit OK. and then just hit P on the keyboard to reveal the position of this camera. Click on the keyframe over here. Another thing before we do this, and go to particular clouds and click on the keyframe for particles per second, and then just move one frame into the time, so that's page down on the keyboard, page down, and then just change it to 0, or you can just do it by hand, but it's a lot easier with page down and page up to move. And if you hold shift you move 10 frames, also nice to know, which is really useful in some cases. So as you can see now, the clouds just stay all the whole time. They just stay in the same position. So the only thing we got to do now is animate the camera. So you want to find the beginning. So that will probably be over here. So just going to 0 right first. Click on the keyframe. And just move in time. And maybe you want to change it to, like, let's say minus 3000 over here. Okay, maybe I want to make it a little bit larger. Let's preview this first and see what we've got. It's going really slow. So you want to change this a lot bigger. As you can see, it's not long enough, so the only thing you have to change over here is the Z space, and it's instead of 10,000 minus 10,000, I guess. Okay, there we go. That was the problem. Just change this a lot more. So hold shift. It's a lot easier. Okay, there we go. And now it should help a bit. So now we are in reverse. So you just change the keyframes if you want to move through them instead of going back. No big deal. If you want to make them bigger, just do so. I'm just covering some techniques over here, so I'm not going to try and create the most perfect sky over here. So it's just so you know how to do it and find your own way of creating some creative skies. So as you can see over here, this is our sky, and as you can see also it's way too small. So I'm gonna change it to, let's say, 300 and change the size random to 50. Okay, now re-render this. It might be too big now, so yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'm gonna pause this video until it's done. Okay, so it's done, and let's replay it. So this looks pretty close to a cloud, but maybe a little bit too big. So let's change this to, let's say, 250, and that'll fix a lot of this. So here we have our sky. But if you want to import real clouds that are keyed out and all that crazy stuff, and creating some really realistic scenes, also if you want to make it a lot more realistic, another thing you can do is just remove this background and import a real sky in here so that it looks really realistic, and it will help a lot. So maybe also change then the position of make a 3D layer, so toggle switches. If you don't see this one over here, this row, just click 3D and then just move it back into Z. So then just once you've done it, just press S on the keyboard to scale it up, and just scale it until it's fitting the comp over here. So that will also give a nice effect of 3D and that you're moving into space. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So okay, once we've done that, I will cover the other manner of doing this. It's a little bit harder, but it's a lot more cooler, and you can do a lot more new things, and it looks a lot more realistic. So okay, create a new composition for this one, and just change the name to particle for cloud. Okay, and over here you'll have to import your real clouds that you have keyed out, but I don't have any clouds, so I'm gonna make one in vectors. So let's see. Let's say this is my cloud over here. And also what you can do is make this to the center of this timeline, so 7.5. Duplicate it by holding Ctrl and pressing D on the keyboard, and moving it to the beginning of the other one over here. Make sure they are not that they are aligned perfectly over here, and just make another one. So make some adjustment. And that can make some variation in your clouds. If you import two images of two different clouds, that will create some variation over here. So go back to particle clouds, and instead of particle type cloudlet, we are going to change it to sprite. So click on sprite, go to texture, and now what you want to do is go to project over here and just drop this cloud particle and drop it into the composition, and just key this out so that you don't see it anywhere in the comp. Okay, so sorry for struggling over here. Go back to effects control and go back to the texture layer, and now we can select this layer, particle for cloud over here. Hit OK, no biggie, and as you can see over here we have our clouds. So I'm going to change it back to, let's say, 50% opacity, so you can see that we have our clouds over here. And you can do this with a lot of different things. And now we want to change the current time to random and still frame. Random still frame, and as you can see, now you're using these two images, one of this and one of this, randomly, and they are going to create some clouds in the air. So it's a really nice feature from Particular. You can use it for a lot of other things like money, and make a front side, a back side, and make some money that is flying through the air, or some pokering and some cards flying through the air. Some cool projects being in my head, but I didn't have time to make them yet. So have some fun, create something that you like, and post your video response if you do so using this tutorial. I will be glad to see what you guys come up with. Also, leave a like if you like this tutorial. If you didn't, dislike it, unfortunately, but well, you have to do what you have to do. So be sure to check out my channel. I have a lot of other tutorials. I also take suggestions, so if you have a suggestion for a tutorial, just post PM me, not in the comments. I don't always see my comments, so it's easier if you just personal message me about that. I always read my personal messages, so yeah. Thanks for watching, and goodbye. Take care.